Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. In this tutorial, we'll learn how to use ChangeNotifier provider and ChangeNotifier to manage our states in our class or in our app. Previously, we have seen how to use setState and callback function to do that. Well, here in this tutorial, we'll take a different approach using this too. Now, ChangeNotifier provider is coming from a package called Provider. We have to install that package. Now there is another class that's called a ChangeNotifier, and this is in the default Flutter SDK, so we don't need to install it. Well, as you can see from the picture, ChangeNotifier provider takes two things. It takes ChangeNotifier and a class. Okay, so ChangeNotifier is the one that makes changes and notifies the app. While saying that, what do we want? We want to have a class, and within this class we'll have a variable, and we want that variable to be changed from the external source or from another class. That's what we want. Well, to do that, we'll have another class. we'll have class B. While class B will have onTap event. Within class A, we'll create an instance of class B using the constructor, while constructor will take an argument. Argument will have a value, so we want that value to reflect over here. So I can create many constructor, that means many instances of class B, and we want them to be reflected here once we click on onTap event. So now the onTap event of class B will have access to the method of ChangeNotifier. While it will call a method, onTap event will call a method of ChangeNotifier, and that method will change the variable value that sits within ChangeNotifier. So once again, this ChangeNotifier will have a method, and it will have a method and a variable. So once we call this method from here, we'll change the value of this variable using this method. So what's happening so far? So far, we created an instance of class B that had an argument. We passed the argument to class B, and once we click on this onTap event, that value would be changed using this method, and that change would be reflected over here. But our end purpose is change the value over here or reflect the changed value over here. So it changed here, but how to make it change over here? Well, as I said early at the beginning, at the very entry point of our app, we'll have ChangeNotifier. So it will have class A as a child and ChangeNotifier. So whatever changes over here, that variable, that value, we can directly call within this variable or for this variable, okay? So because variable, the value could be changed for anything. So whatever changes here will reflect over here. But these changes had been done through these steps. Okay, so you passed a value from here, and it changed over here, and it's saved over here, and then it would be reflected over here because we have implemented ChangeNotifier provider. Okay, so the changes over here could be caught, can be found, and we'll just connect it there. And to do that, we'll often use a statement. That statement is called Provider.of notifier class and context. Well, this is a very important concept for complex app building. While if you want to build app using Bloc or Cubit packages for state management, this would be your best friend because in those packages we'll see them again and again. Anyway, so without further ado, let's get started. Now here I have this main app. Well, within main app, I'll call run app, and here I'll create a function. I'll call it my app. Well, actually that would be a class. So I have to go ahead and create a class. So I'll create a stateful class over here. I'll hit stful. Now over here, I'll create the class called my app. Okay, all right. Well, now within this app, over here, we'll return material app. Okay, it takes a property home, and within home we'll have scaffold. Okay, and within scaffold we'll have body, and within body here we'll have a column. So here I'm done with this container. Now what I will do, I'll go ahead and create another class, and well, that class would be class B. Just now actually we created class A. So in our case, this class, my app, this is class A. Well, soon we'll pass this class A to ChangeNotifier provider. Anyway, now we'll go ahead and create class B. So to do that, over here I'll create another stateless class. I'll call it my courses.dart. Now I'll create here a stateless class. Okay, and I'll call it my courses. Now we need to import some of the libraries. Let's go ahead and do it. Okay, we should be good to go. Now over here, this is a container and we can reuse this container. So what we'll do, we'll just copy it and put it right here. Okay, now over here, let's see, we need to import material library. Okay, we should be good to go. Now over here, what we could do, we could go ahead and create some instance of that one, like my courses. So here we'll do my courses. Now we need to import the library. Okay, now you go ahead and run it and you will see another one, but here we can change this a little bit. Instead of 70, we just want 10 or maybe 20. Well, now we want to change this value and we want this value to be dynamic. So here we'll create a dynamic variable, but this variable would be coming from here. And earlier we saw that we want to create the instance of class B using the constructor, and it will pass an argument. So we have to receive the argument. So we'll go ahead and receive the argument over here, and we would do final string course. This is our argument name. So here we do this course. Okay, and we might use this required keyword and it should be gone. And over here we don't need this one anymore, and now of course we can remove this one. So over here we'll call courses or course, the variable we created early, to receive our argument over here. But now we want to pass an argument to this constructor. So over here we'll call it course, and now here we can call it, say, get x. Okay, and of course we need to import the library. Okay, now over here we refresh it and we'll see get x. Now we'll create more instance of this. Okay, now here we'll call block. Okay, and here we'll call Cubit. Okay, good. Now what do we want? We want, once we click on this, the value should be reflected here. Whatever the button we click, it should be reflected over here. Okay, and that's what we saw early. So it will have an onTap event, and onTap event will call a method from ChangeNotifier. Okay, well, now to do that, first definitely we need to go ahead and create another class. So over here we'll call it change course.dart. Okay, so within it here I'll call class change course extends ChangeNotifier. So this one. Okay, now within it we'll create a variable, we'll call it string subject. It doesn't matter what you call it, and for now it would be null, nothing is there. And then over here we'll create a method, as we saw early that we need a method and a variable. So we did the variable, now we'll do the method. We'll call it change subjects. Okay, and it'll take a parameter, and we'll call it string subject, string new sub. Okay, now over here we'll, whatever the value we get, we'll save it to this one. So we'll call subject equal new subject. So that's what we are doing. So whatever the value we get from onTap event, we'll save it here, and that's what we did. And after that we need to call a method. It's called notify listeners. So once you have this method, our app would know that there is a new value and the old value has been changed. So it makes this variable observable, just like getX package, if you know how to use getX package for state management. So over here, because of this line, the value has been changed. So this whole app would know that our value has been changed, so we can trigger a new build. So far we are done with this. Now we need to install another package that's called Provider. So now we'll go ahead and install that package. Over here we'll do Flutter pub add provider, and it will create the install the package for you, and it's done. When it's done, you need to come over here, this file, and check it, make sure that it's there. Now this order really matters. I don't think this is a correct order, it could be a wrong order. So what I will do, I'll just go ahead and put it here. Okay, so for some reasons Provider maintains order of installation, so most probably first the Flutter SDK and then the other dependencies, otherwise you will get an error, it won't work. Okay, so anyway, so we are good. So now for us, this is the time to use Provider. Okay, all right, now to do that we need to import Provider package. So we'll come to class, we'll come to our class, which is called my course over here. And first over here within this, we want to create a button. So we'll wrap this around widget, and we'll call it gesture detector. Okay, so now here within it we'll have onTap event. So as we saw from the PPT early, that this class will have onTap event, and onTap event will take this statement. Okay, yeah. So now we need to come over here. So we need to call Provider. To do that, we need to implement Provider package. So we'll do import package Provider. Yeah, this one. Now over here we'll call Provider.of. Now here it takes your ChangeNotifier. Okay, so what is our ChangeNotifier? So over here, change course is our ChangeNotifier, this class. Okay, so we'll just put it there. Okay, and then we'll do context and listen, and we'll do false. Okay, and then we'll call a method. Well, the method that's been sitting here. So what's the method? Change subjects. So, but of course we need to import the library. Okay, done. Now let's try it one more time over here. Now we'll call it change subjects, this one. So now we can change the subject. Now the subject takes an argument. So what is the argument we can pass? This argument we can pass. So we'll just put it there. Okay, so Provider.of is very useful if you want to call an instance from ChangeNotifier or call a variable that sits inside your ChangeNotifier. Well, this same concept is very useful if you use Flutter Bloc, Cubit, or other stream listeners. Okay, so they work pretty much the same way and same logic. Anyway, so now over here we need to put a semicolon. So now that's using this one, once we click this button, so on tap event would get triggered, and eventually it will call this function change subjects, and then it will change the variable within it. Okay, yeah, so now we are able to pass the value from this constructor to this class over here and to the ChangeNotifier, and ChangeNotifier changes the value. Okay, so far we are good, but now this value has been changed, right? So we need to find this value over here. Okay, where? Over here, this place. Okay, we want to change reflect over here. So what we could do, we can just simply go ahead and grab that value, because this variable would hold the new value, right? And we can do it very easily, once again using this statement we saw early, provider notifier class. Okay, provider.of notifier class and context, using this one. So we'll here simply call plus provider.of. Now it takes the notifier. What is our notifier? Change subject. Okay, well, now I think we need to import some libraries. Let's see. Oh, I think it's change course, not change subject. Okay, and import the library. Now for provider itself, we also need to import the library. So that's what we will do. We'll import the library over here. So package provider dot. So now the error should be gone over here. And we also need to remove this one now, because it's not constant anymore. So now over here, we'll do context. We'll pass the context, and then we'll call a method or value from ChangeNotifier from here. Okay, and you can already see that it's already reflected over here, the value. So you can find it over here. Now the error is gone. Okay, so this value once again coming from this ChangeNotifier. Okay, yeah, so once again this statement is very useful for grabbing the new value. Well, now of course if you go ahead and run it, it won't work, because we are missing another important step, which is this one. So ChangeNotifier provider is a widget which takes a child and a ChangeNotifier. So now we need to create this step. Well, we have already created this, this, and this. So all we need to do, bind them together. This three, bind them together. How to do that? We'll do it at the very top over here. Okay. Now instead of passing my app here directly, we'll pass it to ChangeNotifier provider. So here we'll call ChangeNotifier provider, and let's see. So it says add record argument create. So that's what we need to add. So we do add. Now it takes the context, empty context. So for now it's empty, or the default one, I would say. Now it takes a notifier provider or ChangeNotifier. So in our case, this is the ChangeNotifier, the class. This is called change course. So we'll pass it over here. We do change course. Okay, and it takes another child, so we need to pass it. So what is our child? In our case, my app is our child. So if we come back to the file over here, so ChangeNotifier provider, which is this one, it takes a class, and this is our class, and ChangeNotifier. So this is our ChangeNotifier. So far we are good. Now what we'll do, we'll go ahead and run the app, refresh it, and hopefully everything is working. Let's see. So no errors, that means it's working fine. Now, sorry. So now I want to click on this. I want the value to be reflected here. And it did. Wonderful. Click here, the value reflected here. Click here, the value reflected here. So ChangeNotifier and provider, they work together to manage the states. And one of the very important concept is using this statement, provider of context. Using this one, you can access anything within ChangeNotifier, whatever the method and value you have, and you can use those methods and value for triggering and revealed in your UI. Okay. And another concept that I would like to tell you right here. So this one, like here we have this listen.false. Well, because our app is so small, we don't really put it listen.true because it will create extra revealed. We don't want to rebuild our widget again and again. Because we already have ChangeNotifier, once you change the value over here, it will get notified. So our small app doesn't really need to rebuild again and again. So that's why it's false. For the complex app, most probably you need listen true. Okay, for small app, this is okay. So far so good. So anyway, if you learned something, don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button.